teamless. United in the Europa League. Europa League. We tell them one time and we say Europa League.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well, having a good Wednesday. I'm smiling because that intro never gets old. It never gets old. It will. It will. What makes me laugh about the Europa League intro is that it's still somewhat polarizing. Some people love it. And when I say they love it, we get comments all the time saying, put it on Spotify. We need a full version of it. Like, they absolutely love it. Some people cannot stand it. I mean, legitimately, we get comments saying, get rid of it. We hate that intro. It's Europa League. It's the Europa League. It's the Reckless remix. That's what it is. It's a moment. It takes me back to that last game of the season. Crystal Palace versus Manchester United. Flex and KG were at the desk there. KG's pounding on the desk. Flex is spitting bars, as they say. I believe that's what they say. And it's fun, isn't it? It's fun. And whilst the Europa League this season is a little remnant of where we don't want to be, you can have a little bit of fun with it. You can. You can. You can, exactly. But how is everybody doing? I hope everyone's doing very well. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. Remember, you can join the UV Members Club by clicking the link in the video description. It's also the pinned comment in the live chat as well. Of course, we're here to talk about press conference. We're here to talk about the Europa League. We're here to talk about Erik ten Hag speaking to the assembled media at Carrington ahead of Manchester United's Europa League clash against Omonia tomorrow night at Old Trafford. Of course, it's the reverse fixture from the fixture out in Cyprus last week. And Flex was actually in the press conference. Yes, Flex was in the press conference. Got to ask a question to Victor Lindelof, who joined the Manchester United manager, Erik ten Hag. So we're going to get into all of the questions. We're going to get into all of the quotes, all of the comments, how it builds up to tomorrow, some of the more interesting parts of it. He was asked about disrespect to Cristiano Ronaldo. Flex asked Victor Lindelof about what it's like playing under Erik ten Hag, how he can improve his game. Ten Hag was asked a lot about fixture congestion. Of course, we're in a really busy October now, of a lot of games coming up with the World Cup and with postponements, etc. How is he going to manage certain people's minutes? So it was a really interesting one, and what's quite good about these Europa League press conferences is that they do go, or they do tend to go a little bit longer than usual. Obviously, the Premier League press conferences, especially Erik ten Hag's ones, they can be like 5 minutes and done. Very, very short ones. So these ones are interesting. We get a lot of questions asked and some really good questions. So let's get into it. Actually, let's get some comments up on the screen first, because that's what I enjoy doing in these solo streams. So Witterbird is saying, lunch with Owen. Big up, Witterbird. Let us know what you're having. Let us know where you're watching. That's one of my favorite things to do here when I do a solo stream, is ask where you're watching from. The United View community is truly global. The amount of countries that I hope now fills the chat is incredible. So let me know where you're watching from, and be sure to smash a like on the like button as we get into the press conference questions. And it started off with Simon Peach. Of course, Simon Peach, the same Simon Peach that before Erik ten Hag had to point at earlier this year. So they've got to point at you, Simon. But now it looks like they're on better terms. Now, Simon Peach asked about Anthony Martial, saying, do you have a Martial update and the players not in training? Erik ten Hag confirmed, quote, not training today, referring to Martial. We will see how he develops to Sunday. The follow-up question was, will there be anyone else that's unavailable? Harry Maguire. Erik ten Hag said, quote, Harry Maguire is out, and longer term, Donny van der Beek and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So again, once again, confirming that Martial will not train today, so he's not playing on Thursday, as to probably be expected if you limp off after 30 minutes against Everton. Whilst it can and most likely was a precautionary measure, he definitely wasn't going to play today because of that. As far as Sunday goes, Newcastle, Old Trafford, going to be a tough game. I would suspect he doesn't play against Newcastle. We're back to now in that stage once again of, how do we bring him back? How do we manage him properly when we're bringing him back? It's, it really is. It's not even 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's 2 steps back, 1 step forward. The step forward is every time Martial plays or has his cameos, he gets an assist or a goal. That's a step forward. But the 2 steps back is really the injuries. The injuries and different injuries. It's not the same one. It's a knee one. It's an Achilles one. It's a back one. And that's the concerning thing. That's the frustrating thing. And then as far as Harry Maguire, he's still not training after sustaining that thigh injury on international duty. And to be honest, as we get closer to the World Cup, I think Southgate names his squad. I was shocked by this. Isn't it on like the 20th? Isn't it like a week tomorrow? I might be wrong. Let me know in the chat the actual date for that. But Gareth Southgate names his World Cup squad very soon. And you could argue that, Maguire's going to be in it, certainly. But time's drawing a little bit closer. It's what? six weeks, 5 weeks to the World Cup. It's really not long at all. And his focus clearly is being fit for the World Cup, not being fit for Manchester United. And Donny van de Beek, he's still got that muscle injury, and it's unfortunate for him because he most likely, well, he'd had a better chance to be involved in these games. I don't think we're going to see as much rotation as we would usually see. We're not going to see that much rotation from Erik ten Hag in the Europa League because we haven't so far. So I don't really expect that to be a thing. But he'd have had a better chance, certainly, at playing these Europa League games than the Premier League games. So for him to be injured and unavailable, that's certainly unfortunate as well. And Wan-Bissaka, he's unavailable too. Let's see where you're all watching from as well. I did ask to say, where are you guys watching from? The Emblazer, I believe that. The Emblaze. The Emblazer sounds like a wrestler. the Emblazer, weighing 240 pounds. The Emblazer, who's watching from Nigeria and has been a member for 3 months. Thank you for 3 months of support. The Emblaze, or the Emblazer. I like that one. Joe Baldwin says, yes, Owen, working from home because waiting for a table. Just moved to London. Well, congratulations on your move, Joe. Mark is watching from Cape Town, South Africa. We've got Ethiopia. We've got Goulburn, Australia. We've got Zambia, Singapore, Belgium, Orlando, Florida. Hope all is well in Florida. Chad, obviously, I know there was Hurricane Ian a couple of weeks ago, so hope you're all doing well out there. And I think we're caught up. Jamaica. And, of course, Putney as well, watching from Brunei too, Wisconsin. I mean, I could literally do this all day. I love it. I really do. I love it. I love watching all that to let you to discuss where you have watched it from. It's excellent. It really, truly is. So next question. Let's get into the next question, which was from Diogo Dallo. It wasn't from Diogo Dallo. It was about Diogo Dallo. Can you imagine? Next question. Oh, hi, Diogo. That would be a turn up for the book, certainly, wouldn't it? So the next question was, Diogo Dallo has done well. You don't have many options behind him. How are you going to manage the minutes? And do you have options to replace Diogo Dallo if he's injured or if he's not playing well? Just if you need to rotate, how are you going to do that? And Erik ten Hag laughed, said, we don't have options. This guy right here pointed to Victor Lindelof and said Terrell Malacia can also play right back. We've got many options. Now, he can say that, Erik ten Hag, but I think I might not be alone here. I don't think I don't want to see Victor Lindelof playing right back. He can play there. And just because he can doesn't necessarily mean that he should. If we are seeing Victor Lindelof start at right back, that's because we've got no options. That's not, that is square pegs round holes. You can do a job there, but the point is that Wan-Bissaka's out, and you don't have those options behind him. And even if Wan-Bissaka was available, it's very clear for Erik ten Hag that he's not his guy. He's not his preferred option in that centre back position, clearly. So I don't want to see Lindelof playing. I said before, bring back Ethan Laird. I know a lot of people will talk about well, he's developing very well, and I think he's doing well at QPR. But you weigh up, what would you rather have? And let me know in the chat, what would you rather have for an Ethan Laird? Would you rather have, you are going to maybe play, let's say 6 or 7 games this season, or would you rather him play a full season of Championship football? I don't know. I think Laird would be a decent option, and if you're not going to go Wan-Bissaka, but a lot of people, and I do understand it when they say let him stay there for his development, such as Daniel there says, let him stay for his development. It's difficult. It is difficult. That's why Erik ten Hag wanted to sign a right back in the summer. It's clear, eh? It's clear, as Erik ten Hag would say. It's clear, eh? That's why he wanted to get. That's why he wanted to get the people in the summer, because he wanted to get. He wanted to have that backup. He wanted to have those backup options because he needs those backup options, because whilst Dallo is the preferred option and whilst Diogo Dallo is playing well, at the same time, in games that he won't play well. I mean, he didn't play particularly well against Everton. He was one of the lesser players on the pitch, and I think that in an ideal world he would have been able. He would have liked to maybe bring on a right back option if he could. Unfortunately, he couldn't, and that was certainly a frustration to him, I think, there. So there you go. The follow-up question was, I think this was from Simon Stone. The question is, do I do my Simon Stone impression? I do it every week on these, and you have to walk a fine line between an impression and just openly mocking him, and he's done nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. I'm going to do it. Eric. Strange season. World Cup. He doesn't talk like that. He said it's a strange season with the World Cup. If you finish second in the group, you'll have extra games to play due to the playoff. Therefore, how important is it to win the group? And Ten Hag said, quote, "I told the players weeks ago before the break it was important to win the group. We want to win all games, but it's clear, we want to avoid that finishing second in the group. But if it happens, we'll have to basically manage that. And you will play extra games, I believe, because if you finish second in the group, isn't it that you play that playoff, or I think it's a two-legged playoff against the people that drop down, those third place teams in the from the Champions League, and then you have the rest of the knockout games. So you would play, in theory, an extra 2 games, I believe. And to Simon Stone's point, and it's a very good question, to Simon Stone's point, just that extra 2 games really can make a difference. How we're going to struggle to get our games in anyway, right? So let alone an extra 2 games, which could be difficult. So we're right. We've got to win the group. That's the aim, to win the group. And even if we didn't win the group, it is somewhat embarrassing. I know Real Sociedad are a good side, but you say, man, United, that's poor. And what it's really going to come down to, it's going to come down to that Real Sociedad game away. Unless Sociedad slip up at some point, but chances are you'd think they won't. They'll beat Sheriff. They'll beat Omonia. So it's really going to come down to that away game at Sociedad. And therefore, United can't slip up before then. Certainly, they can't slip up before then. So that's why tomorrow I expect some rotation, a little bit, but not a lot. In all honesty, I don't expect a ton of it. I don't expect a ton of rotation from Erik Ten Hag because, I mean, frankly, not that he can't trust them, I guess, but he just might think, is that really... Are they really going to be that right option? Last time I made some rotations, last time I changed things a little bit, it didn't work out particularly well. He might be thinking. So that would certainly be interesting there. Next question was from, and be sure to smash a like on the like button, by the way, guys. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Got nearly 400 people watching. We can get to 100 likes. Of course we can. Of course we can get to 100 likes. Now, the next question from Simon Stone was saying, once again, continuing on this theme of fixture congestion, saying, you have European games every week. Next week, of course, you don't have that European game, but you still have a midweek game. You have a Premier League game. This time it's against Spurs. Then you have the League Cup game in the week. Do you believe you have the squad to deal with that? Do you think that the squad can manage all of those games? How reliant are you going to be on the squad? How difficult is it going to be? And Ten Hag said, quote, I think the clubs all have the same problem. The teams that play in Europe, we have a squad to cover that. Injuries and suspensions will happen, but you have to deal with it as a squad, which he's correct in. I mean, you can't sit here and complain, that we've got so many games, because every other club are in the same situation, particularly those clubs that play in Europe. Everyone's got a congested fixture list, and that's why you spend north of £200 million in the summer, is to have a squad that not only can compete for, I say top prizes, but can do well in the Premier League, because we're way off competing for the title or anything like that. But that's why you spend all of that money, to get a squad that can compete in the Premier League. But also, you have a squad that has, as he says, two people per position, double positions, so that you can rotate for Europa League games, for League Cup games, for even Premier League games. The issue is that we have seen so far that really Erik Ten Hag doesn't like to rotate that much. As I said, I don't expect a ton of rotation tomorrow. If I was going to go through the team, and this isn't a preview, it's a press conference reaction, but if I was to go through the team that I expect him to play tomorrow, De Gea will start in goal. Right back will be Diogo Dalot. Centre-backs will probably be the same centre-backs, right? It'll be Martinez, it'll be Lindelof. Lindelof was in the press conference with Ten Hag, so he's going to start. Left back, you might see Malacia get another go, but even then, you've got 3 of the back 4 that played against Everton on Sunday. Midfield, you might see some changes. Maybe you don't see Casemiro start. Maybe you do see McTominay, because McTominay is going to be suspended for the game against Newcastle. He picked up his 5th yellow card of the season, so McTominay most likely will start. Next to him, I mean, probably a Fred, and even that's not a sure thing. He still might go with Eriksen, but probably a Fred. And then in that 10, it'll be either Bruno or Eriksen. They'll probably do a half each, like they did against Real Sociedad at Old Trafford. Out wide, You'll have Sancho on the left, I think, because Sancho he's been out of the squad, and that's not a bad rotation to have. So you'd have Sancho. Right-hand side, chances are you get Antony again. He's playing every game. Up front, it'll be Ronaldo. It's not a ton of rotation in there because he doesn't like to do it, and he knows the importance of winning. So, again, whilst it's important to have the squad to deal with that, you also have to have the want to rotate, and I don't think he fully trusts these players to fully rotate the squad, in my opinion. Next question was Victor Lindelof saying, Victor, how have you found this season? Of course, Lisandro Martinez came in. How have you found it? He said, quote, I got a tough start to the season with injury. I wasn't able to be involved. It's important for the team to have good players in the squad. We have a lot of games and it's important to have players to compete. For me, it's not a problem. And then he was also asked... that was to Ten Hag. No, Lindelof's a funny one, isn't it? Because the centre-back position at United has just gone like this so much this season. Really, truly it has when you think about it. When we were coming into the season, we're talking about Rafael Varane being fourth-choice centre-back. Clearly, I don't know if he's a first choice. I think Lisandro Martinez is first choice centre-back, but the preferred partnership is Martinez and Varane. Then you would say, well, third choice centre-back is Harry Maguire. Well, Harry Maguire's been out of injury at the moment, and we know how Ten Hag likes to operate, which is whatever winning and whatever doing well, we stick there. So Lindelof seemingly has jumped over Harry Maguire for now. He's maybe third choice. The real key indication is when Varane is fully fit, which would probably be Sunday, he'll be involved in the squad, I would think, tomorrow, the same way he was against Everton. I don't think he'll start tomorrow. I think he'll start Sunday. But so the question is, and I guess I've kind of already spoiled it there, but when Varane is fit, does Lindelof keep his place if we keep a clean sheet tonight? Probably not. But I think he did well with Martinez. I thought they looked shaky last Thursday against Omonia in Cyprus. You could say, well, maybe that's because, as he mentions, tough start with with injury this season, etc., etc., etc. So that might be a bit of that might be an explanation for that. But I thought he did well at the weekend. I thought he looked fairly composed, and he did well with Martinez, and they complement each other quite well. But Sunday, unfortunately for him, I would expect him to lose his place. But to go back to what Erik ten Hag has been saying there, that's where it is important to have a squad that you can switch players in and out, and the drop-off isn't too high. Now, next question was asked to Erik ten Hag, and again, this goes back to the kind of squad depth discussion, and maybe that was sort of the biggest discussion point really in this press conference, wasn't it? Was how do you approach tomorrow's game? Of course, you've got important Premier League games coming up. Is it a game that you're going to use your fringe players? Now, whilst he wasn't, exactly said, because, they're Omonia and they haven't won a game, etc., but it was implied, are you going to play your fringe players? What's your mentality? And Ten Hag said, quote, all out for the victory. First game is the most important. It's Europe. It's tough. We want to be number one in the group. So Ten Hag is saying, look, I'm not even thinking about Newcastle at the weekend, which managers say, and look, he's a pragmatic, details-orientated manager. So I'm sure that as of right now, his full focus is on the game tomorrow, and you can't overlook the opponents. Same opponents that, look, last week, we had a strong side out. Not that we struggled against them, but we conceded 2 goals. So we've got to have our wits about us tomorrow. It's a different proposition. It's at home. It's Old Trafford, and you would expect United to comfortably beat them. But if you do overlook them, you might be in a little bit of trouble. To his point, that's Europe. Strange things can happen. But he'll have Newcastle. He'll have Tottenham, he'll have Chelsea, all in his mind. I mean, that's a tough run of games. Tottenham, Newcastle at home, Tottenham, was it Tottenham away? Or was it Tottenham? I think they're 3 games at home, I believe, aren't they? They're 3 games in a row at home. So they're all big games, and most importantly, they're all winnable games, especially with our home record this season. So he'll have an eye on them. Absolutely. He'll have an eye on them, but you can't overlook the game tomorrow. You can't. I mean, they gave us a game last week. Again, I know it's different. I know it's away from home. I know atmosphere, it's probably the biggest game Omonia have ever played in. Huge game for Cypriot football. I understand that, but still, you can't overlook the game as well. What are you guys saying in the chat? Ed T here says, Owen, the midfield and fullback struggled last week. They did. Look, I thought United against Omonia didn't play that well. I think first 30-ish minutes when they dominated the ball and possession, I was almost cautious to actually praise them because it's a case of, well, you should. That's the expectation. But I think they scored, and we were lucky that half-time was around the corner because we looked rattled. We responded well in the second half. That was because of the changes. That was because of bringing on Rashford. That was because of bringing on Martial. I don't want that to be a similar situation tomorrow where we're getting at half-time and we're going, Eric, bring on these players to change the game again. Because if you've got to bring on some bigger hitters, and they're going to be big hitters starting anyway, but if you've got to bring on some bigger hitters to change the game against Omonia at Old Trafford because it's 0-0, because you're struggling, or because you're 1-0 down at half-time, that's a problem. Because it would have happened twice in the space of 7 days. And in actuality, if we were to go behind tomorrow, that would be the third consecutive game that we would have gone 1-0 down, would have to be coming back. And you can look at it from a positive. We came back in both games and we won both games, but you don't really want to make a habit of going 1-0 down either. So that will be important too. Next question was to Victor Lindelof, asking about the togetherness of the squad. Said after the Everton game, there was pictures of presenting a shirt to Cristiano Ronaldo, celebrating his 700th club career goals. How is the mood? How is the togetherness? Victor Lindelof said, quote, I think the feeling in the group is good. We have good players and good people, so we have good energy. You always need good team spirit, and we have that at the moment. And I would suggest, and it's very difficult for someone like me to sit here and tell you how the mood is between the squad at Manchester United. I'm not in the dressing room, and I just see the same things that you do on social media. I see the same interviews that you do on social media. So I can't say what the togetherness is or isn't like at Manchester United. I can't. But what I would say is, from my own perspective, that group of players there at Manchester United, I like more. I like them more than I did last season. And that's not difficult because I didn't really like the group there last season. I didn't like the noise that was constantly surrounding Manchester United. And every day last season, wasn't it, was another story. Every day was another story about this player not liking that player, or they didn't like training, or the mood being unhappy, or just confusion about the future, people not being happy about contracts, and you still get that to an extent, right? But not to the level of last season. And I know that every time there is a story that comes out about Manchester United, people get really angry and they say, I thought the leaks were disappearing. I thought the leaks were over. At a club like Manchester United, with the scrutiny that's always on the club, with the headlines that are always being written about the club, and most importantly, with the people that are willing to listen about the behind the scenes going on at Manchester United, there is always going to be stories, going to be stuff written about them, going to be stuff that's exaggerated, made up, enhanced, whatever. That's just always going to be the case. But I would say, in fairness to United and to Erik ten Hag and to the people in the dressing room, that has decreased significantly. Yeah, you still get the report you had about Ronaldo last week, whether you want to believe it or not. That is what it is. That's the territory with Cristiano Ronaldo. But it's not every day. It's not every day. And if anything, prior to the game against Man City, there were positive leaks, wasn't there? There was positive leaks saying about Eriksen and I think it was Eriksen, Bruno, even Maguire being a leader in the dressing room. Malacia stays late. Martinez has been an infectious addition. And you like to hear those kind of stories, don't you? So I would argue from an outsider looking in, there would appear to be certainly more togetherness. There would appear to be there's clearly a better atmosphere at Manchester United than there was this time last season, and certainly towards the latter stages of last season. That also gets fostered by winning. That also gets fostered by good coaching. That gets fostered by results. As long as results continue to be okay, then I would suspect that that togetherness and that positivity surrounding Manchester United would continue. But again, that's my opinion on that one. Next question was to Lindelof once again, asking. No, it wasn't. It was to Erik ten Hag. I skipped ahead. Was saying about Christian Eriksen, saying, I think this was from Samuel Lucas actually, saying, Eric, it's clear how important Christian Eriksen has been in your time as being a manager. Is there a point when you have to manage his playing time? Is it playing time that has to be managed? And I thought Ten Hag actually responded to this quite well. He said, all players, we have to manage their game time. That's what I do all the time. That's why we have a good with double positioning, with depth. So if we have to rotate, we can replace players. And again, that's to his point. That's not just Christian Eriksen. And Samuel Lucas made somewhat of a reference to what happened to Eriksen last year in Copenhagen and that. But I don't think Eriksen's any different from any player in that regard. We kind of touched on it with Diogo Dalot earlier on in the stream, in the show, that no player is different. No player, I don't care how young you are, how old you are, how fit you are, what your stamina is like, how much distance you cover or don't cover on the pitch. You cannot play every game this season. It's just not possible. You will, even if they somehow manage that feat, they would be run down into the ground. It's impossible. There are how many games, if United have a successful season this season, even going far in just one cup competition, say not even in the FA Cup and the League Cup we get to the latter stages, say in just the Europa League and just the Premier League, even so we'd play something like, close to 60 games, maybe even more than that. And if that's the no player can play all of that. And Christian Eriksen is no different in that regard. Every single player's minutes will have to be managed. I'm even looking at someone like Anthony on the right-hand side going, he's playing every game now, but he can't play every single game. Eventually, Alanga has to play, or eventually Sancho gets moved out to the right-hand side because Anthony just can't play every game. That's if a player's fully fit for the entirety of the season. We're talking also about injuries, suspensions, drop-offs in form. Different games require different tactics and different setups and different players. So it's not feasible for every player to play every game. So to his point, every player has minutes that needs to be managed at Manchester United, and Christian Eriksen is no different. Do I expect Eriksen to start tomorrow? It's a really interesting one, that. What do you think in the chat? Do you think Eriksen starts tomorrow? Because I kind of touched on it earlier. I would expect a similar situation to what happened against Sociedad at Old Trafford, where it's Bruno and Eriksen would probably play 45 each. So either Eriksen does start, like he did against Sociedad, and he comes off, or he comes on and gets replaced by Bruno. I have a feeling he might not start tomorrow. I think that might be the game where he doesn't start. And if we are 1-0, 2-0, maybe even 3-0 up at half-time, then I don't think Eriksen gets brought on. I think the hope would be that we don't need him tomorrow. He can be rested and he can be rotated, but it depends how Ten Hag wants to use him. Obviously, he's been used in that deeper role as more of an 8 or even a 6 at times. But if Bruno's not playing, he'd probably play as a 10. It's quite a difficult one, actually, it must be said. Just Kevin saying no. Get that up on the screen. Just Kevin saying no. Witterbird saying start and not finish. Yeah, it's quite a difficult one. Even if he does have involvement, he's not going to play the whole game. Certainly, I agree with that. So there you go. Be sure to smash a like on the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. Remember, you can join the UV Members Club by clicking the link in the video description as well. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get your exclusive members-only content. There are new emojis been added, by the way. So if you are a member, in addition to having the Flex, KG, Owen and Marcel's porridge emoji, I believe there's the new Mr. KG with hair emoji, which is very popular. Very, very popular. So if you haven't used that already, get the KG with hair emoji in the chat. Also as well, there's red and yellow cards. I like this one. This was something we discussed on the Morning View the other day. Myself and Flex saying that, especially after that full view show on Monday, where there were some questionable takes. I'm not going to say who, because that's not fair. But there were some questionable takes by everyone involved. Now, if you're a member, you have the ability. You're playing referee here. You have the ability to say, I tell you what, that is a wild take. That's a warning. That's a booking. That's a caution. It's not a red card offence. It's not a red card offence, but that's a booking. That's a warning. And of course, if you get 2, you're off. Now, sometimes the takes are so wild or the violation is so big, I've done it myself in the past, that's a red card offence. You're off. You're gone. Now, the sin bin is not being enforced a lot at the moment, and I don't think it will. Sin bin's getting quite dusty and rusty in the corner, as it should. Everyone should be free to express their opinion. But some takes are a red card offence. And now it's up to you, the members, to say, I tell you what, that's a red card offence, that's a red card. You should go. 3 match ban, 3 minute ban. Even though the sin bin's not being enforced. But now you have the power. You have the power in your hands. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to join the UV Members Club. In addition to that, also, you get access to UV Raw, the exclusive series to the UV Members Club. A behind-the-scenes look at the day-to-day goings-on at United View as well. Follow-up question was to Victor Lindelof, asking how has it been playing with Lisandro Martinez, such as he has in the last 2 matches. He said, quote, it's been good. He's a fantastic player. He's very good with the ball. I've played 2 games with him now, and we did a good game against Everton. Next question was to Ten Hag, and asked about Cristiano Ronaldo. but not the question you would think. It was actually about him being charged for the incident at Everton last year, of course, when he slapped the phone out of the hand of the person in the crowd after the game, after the loss. And he was asked about it, and Ten Hag said, we'll talk about it, but he will not accept it. So Ten Hag confirmed that Cristiano Ronaldo will not accept the FA's charge for the incident at Goodison Park last season. It's an odd one, that, because clearly he did it. Like, there is video footage of him doing it, of slapping the phone out of the kid's hand. I did find it odd that they waited this long, because when was that game? That game was in April. It was April last year. So they waited a really long time to charge him, because he was charged in September, I believe it was. Even early September, it might have even been that. So I found that quite strange. So maybe that'll be the basis of which Cristiano Ronaldo is not going to accept it. He's going to say, look, well, you waited ages. Like, you waited ages to charge me. I mean, it's clearly that he did it. Maybe there's other aspects to it as well. Maybe there's an aspect of something that people didn't see or didn't hear at the time. Maybe he'll say, look, I apologize to the person. I believe that he replaced the phone of the person involved. Maybe even gave him an upgrade on his phone, whatever. So maybe you'd say that is like, actually, well, I apologize to the person involved. I made sure that I sort of rectified the situation. It was a long time ago. I don't think I should be charged for it. I don't know. The issue is that a lot of the time with the FA, if you've been charged, you can appeal it, but they've clearly already made their mind up a little bit, unless some real new information comes to light, which can be somewhat of a rarity. So, yeah, that was a bit of an odd one, and like the charge itself, the question came a little bit out of nowhere as well. He was then asked Ten Hag about Marcus Rashford, saying it looked like he took a knock right at the end of the game against Everton when blocking a shot. Is he okay? Has he been in training? And Ten Hag said he will be in training today. So Marcus Rashford will be in training. As far as will he play tomorrow, I don't think he'll start. I think that you have to be cognizant that he is still himself coming back from an injury. The game against Omonia was his first game back after an injury, and then of course he played in the he played in Manchester Derby, actually, didn't he? Played in Manchester Derby was his first game back. That was a surprise. And then he came on against Omonia. That was it last week, and affected the game really well. And obviously was really unlucky not to get his name on the score sheet against Everton last weekend too. So I don't think Rashford will start. As I mentioned, I think Sancho will start off the left-hand side tomorrow, but he will be training today. Next question was about Anthony Martial, and to be fair, I'm glad that this question was asked. It was asked by Rob Dawson from ESPN. He said, Martial is the third separate injury he's had this season. It must be frustrating from a player's point of view, and how do you feel about it? Is he disappointed? Are you disappointed? Ten Hag said, I've had several talks with him about that. I'm disappointed for him from the quality that he's played and the minutes he played. He did very well. Of course, got the assist with Anthony on Sunday. His pressing was really good as well. He was an important factor. So it's a disappointment for him and a disappointment from the team as well. Now, the follow-up question to that was, well, is there any frustration on your part that he's not available for the games tomorrow and not available for maybe some of the games going forward? Ten Hag said, quote, of course, I want him, Martial, in. Sometimes it's disappointing when they aren't available because I know we need him. When they aren't, you have to deal with the situation. And I mean, Ten Hag's not going to come out in a press conference and, slaughter Anthony Martial for being injured. Of course he's going to be frustrated, and of course he's going to be disappointed. But also, his disappointment will equally be shared by Anthony Martial. He'll know. He'll be absolutely kicking himself. Think about it. He'll think, I tell you what, for years, I've wanted to be the guy. I've wanted to be the main guy at Manchester United. I've wanted to start as a striker. I've been shifted out to the left-hand side just when I thought I was going to be a striker. Someone else comes in, or form drops off, or whatever. Last season, I was halfway out the door at Manchester United. I went to Sevilla. That didn't work. I didn't score goals. I didn't play well. I got injured. Coming back this summer, probably initially, he might have thought, I tell you what, I might not even be at Manchester United anymore. But the manager's put his arm around the player, said, you're my guy. I've had a great pre-season, and now I can't stay fit. I've had 3 separate injuries. Just when I think I've got over the last injury, something else happened. So he'll be just as disappointed, Anthony Martial, as Erik Ten Hag is. And I'm sure Erik Ten Hag will be looking at Martial thinking, man, can I trust this guy? Can this guy stay fit? That'd be natural thoughts to have. The frustrating thing is with it, not just as the injuries and the time missed, but it'd be one thing if he wasn't playing well and every time he came in he got injured, you'd go, oh, not only is he rubbish, but he's not playing well. But every time he's played, every time he's had these minutes this season, he's positively affected the game. his record in terms of goals involvements this season is pretty astronomical when you think about it. When he plays, he played against Liverpool, got an assist. Played against City, scored 2 goals. Played against Omonia, got a goal. Played against Everton at the weekend, got an assist. Like that has to be incredibly frustrating for Martial and for Ten Hag. Thinking, it's like that Rogue One gif, isn't it? You were this close to greatness. Because every single time he's back, you're this close. You're thinking, right, here we go, we kick on. Gets an assist, and you're going, that's the link-up play I like to see. Anthony Martial, he's going to get goals. He comes on against Omonia, gets a goal, and he goes, we're this close to greatness. And then, bang, injured again. And it's got to be frustrating. And you do have to keep the same energy that you did with other people, like Eric Bailly, etc., saying, well, when do you start to question that fitness record? Absolutely. But it's not January right now. There's a long way to go to January. I would suspect he probably doesn't go to the World Cup, thinking about it, depending on how his form goes with United, if and when he does play. But even from the French squad point of view, they might think, well, it's a tournament over the space of 3 weeks, 4 weeks? He hasn't been able to stay fit for 3 or 4 weeks this season. Can we trust him? So he'll be just as frustrated. If anything, the last thing he needs is to go to the World Cup. And obviously he missed the last one, and he somewhat blamed Jose Mourinho for that. But maybe he just needs this extended period of time to miss the World Cup and focus on his fitness. So it's really disappointing, and it's really frustrating for everyone involved. The positive out of it is that when he is playing, he's playing well. That's the situation. The next question was from actually our very own United's View, Fleck. Fleck was in the press conference and he asked Victor Lindelof about how it's been like playing under Erik ten Hag and how his philosophy has helped develop his game. Take a closer look.
This one's for you. How much of Erik's philosophy and the way that he wants to play football can help you in your game? You're a ball-playing centre-half, really good on the ball, nice and composed, and we've seen you do that for us plenty of times. How important is it for you to have a manager like Erik to help your game?
I think the way the boss wants to play football, I think it suits me, and I think obviously and hopefully I can improve a lot under him and learn a lot. I think it's also always very, very important to wanting to learn more and wanting to improve and wanting to listen and everything. So of course I'm gonna take everything in, and hopefully I can improve a lot under him.
Excellent stuff there by Flex. Excellent question. We can cut that first bit out, right? We're live. What? That's why I hate when stuff isn't ready when we go live. But we got there in the end, folks, and it overshadows what was an excellent question by Flex as well, asking Lindelof if the philosophy of Erik ten Hag suits him. Ball-playing defender. How important is it to have a manager like Erik ten Hag to help your game? And he's true. Lindelof said the way the boss wants to play football suits me. Hopefully, I can improve a lot under him. It's always important to want to learn more, improve, and I'm going to take everything in. You would think, and again, this is why the centre-back position is so interesting at Manchester United, or has been so interesting so far this season, is that a player like Victor Lindelof would be perfect. It really is like the perfect sort of stature or style of player for Erik ten Hag. You could absolutely see Lindelof play for an Ajax side in the Eredivisie, of comfortable on the ball. Is he rapid? Is he quick? No, not particularly, but he does a bit of everything, and he does it pretty well. And he can play in multiple positions, as Erik said at the beginning of the press conference. He might be playing as a right back at certain points. So absolutely, he's suited. That philosophy suits him well, and suits a kind of player that Victor Lindelof is. So I think that he's absolutely right. And again, whilst I thought he looked a little bit shaky against Omonia last week, I thought he did well against Everton, and Ten Hag's already proven he's the kind of manager that if things are going well, if things are working and Manchester United are winning, he's not going to want to rotate the side. So good question from Flex, and as always, it's just great. It's absolutely great to have fan channels and YouTube media, whoever it is, whether it's us, whether it's United Stand, whether it's Stretford Paddock, whether it's whoever being represented in those press conferences. As someone that covers a lot of these press conferences sometimes, and it's not a slight against the journalists, the questions can be somewhat repetitive, or they can be focused on one player or one individual or one point of reference, and that's because that's just that's what That's what drives the traffic, or that's what drives the interest. But it's great to have, like I said, non-traditional media in there, or fans in there asking questions to players or managers that maybe is a little bit outside of the box, or is a little bit different, or whatever it may be. So shout out to Flex, and shout out to anyone getting involved in that. It's tremendous. It really is. So be sure to smash a like on the like button, guys. We've got nearly 600 people watching. Less than 200 likes. We can do it. You can do better. Let's get through the rest of these questions. The next question to Ten Hag was, Rio Ferdinand said recently that Ronaldo had been disrespected. What are your thoughts on that? And Erik Ten Hag said, quote, I want to support him as good as possible. We have certain demands from players, what we expect in certain positions. I want to get the best out of him. He's in better shape now, and I'm happy with that. So the follow-up question was, so far this season, has it been a physical thing, getting the most out of him? And he said, quote, at the start, it was the case of a lack of fitness. It's proven once again, no one can miss a pre-season. And it must be said, I thought Ronaldo looked much, much more sharp against Everton than he has done at all this season. A lot of you have been saying to me, and you're absolutely right, I'll hold my hands up, that this season so far, it just shows the importance, especially at his age, even with the physical condition he is in, but shows the importance at his age, you can't miss pre-season. You can't. And that's what Erik Ten Hag said. You can't miss pre-season at any age, let alone when you're 37 coming into 38. You cannot do that. Especially under a new manager with new ideas, new philosophies, new ways of playing. You're always going to be playing catch up. And he still is to an extent. Now, there are other aspects of it about long term. Is he right for Manchester United? And can he, even when he's at his whatever his peak is at this stage in his career, can he do what Ten Hag wants? Maybe not. But in terms of being a viable option and scoring goals, I thought this past weekend at Everton was the best game we've really seen him have in a United shirt. So clearly he's still got something to offer. And I guess it is a case of getting those game times, getting those minutes. And look, he wouldn't have them if Martial was staying fit. He'd be playing just these Europa League games. But as I've said a load of times in this press conference reaction, that Ten Hag doesn't change what's working. And if Ronaldo begins to work, he will continue to play him. Finally, the questions to Victor Lindelof were that has there been a change in demand for defenders since Erik Ten Hag has come in? And what is the demands placed on the defenders by the manager? Lindelof said, quote, he's demanding a lot from us, every player, the way it should be. We want to stop the attacker from scoring. He demands a lot from us on how we control the game and how we build it up. He was then asked what it's like playing alongside Martinez. Again, this question was kind of asked earlier on. He said that Martinez is left-footed. Does it change the way you approach the game? And Lindelof said, quote, I wouldn't say it changes the way I approach it. I'm just trying to play my game and the way I can help the team. It doesn't matter whether the partner is left-footed or right-footed. It doesn't change how I play the game. So yeah, there you go. That was it. And as I said, I expect Lindelof to start once again for Manchester United alongside Lisandro Martinez once again tomorrow. So there you go, guys. That was the press conference. That was the press conference reaction. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. We've still got over 600 people watching. We can get to over 200 likes. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. We're on the road to 125k. We're over 123k, I believe, at the moment. So appreciate all the continued support and views and subscriptions. And of course, you can join the UV Members Club by clicking the link in the video description. It's also the pinned comment in the live chat as well. You get your badges, which you have been using in force, which I absolutely adore. I've seen the yellow cards, which I deserved. It was a booking. Well, I'm gonna take responsibility for that, but actually, it didn't happen. It's gonna be edited out. I don't know what you're talking about, Owen. What booking? I'm like Doctor Strange with the time stone. When I went like this, and turned it back. So, but to my point, because I've gone off topic, you can get your badges and your emojis as part of the UB Members Club. So put those in the chat. You can join by clicking the link video description. It's also the pinned comment in the live chat as well. What else is on tap later today? There will be a preview coming out, previewing tomorrow's game at Old Trafford between Manchester United and Omonia. That's going to come from Flex. It's a really, really good one and a fun one. So be sure to check that out when that indeed does drop. Tomorrow, what have we got on tap? Of course, it's match day. So you're going to have the full match day experience. You're going to have road trip. You're going to have a match view from UVHQ. We're going to get the reactions from the fans outside Old Trafford. It's going to be a full match day experience. So now's the time to subscribe and you won't miss anything else. So hope you all have a great Wednesday, guys, and I'll speak for you again very soon. Peace!